In this video, we're going to focus on pseudocode, specifically working with files, writing to a file, and also reading from a file. This could show up on your Paper 2 exam if you're in Cambridge 9618 Computer Science. It could show up, and if it does, we need to be prepared. So hopefully this video helps you out. When you're writing to a file or reading from a file, there's really three things that you need to consider. One, are you going to write to the file, or do you need to append the file? When we say append the file, we mean update it. We're going to leave the original contents and we're going to update it. When we're writing to the file, we're getting rid of everything that used to be there and we're starting fresh. Number two, are we going to read lines from a file? Do we need to transfer something from one file to another? And then, do we have variable or variables to store the line or lines that's going to be written to the file and read from the file? If Cambridge gives us variables, that's fine. We can work with those. It's even better if they don't, because then we can pick up a few points. And remember, you can get partial credit. So with that, let's take a look at the past exam question. Sports Club maintains a record of the email address of each of its members. Details are stored in a text file, email details.txt. The format of each line of the text file is as follows. We've got a membership number followed by an email address. Okay, no big deal. Membership numbers are 4-character string of numerals. We've worked with those. Email address, variable length string. We've worked with those. Membership of the club is increased and a 4-character membership number is no longer adequate. Now, we're starting to get into the meat of the question, figuring out what is it that they want us to do. A procedure, make new file, is required to perform the following actions. Okay, so we have a procedure, not a function here. Name of the procedure, make new file. Step one, they want us to create a new file, new email details.txt. All right, we've done that. Number two, read a line from email details.txt. Not a problem there. Number three, extend membership number by adding 2 leading 0 digits. For example, 1234 becomes 001234. We've been concatenating strings since way back in IGSY. Number four, write the new lines to file new email details.txt. We've done that. Repeat steps 2 to 4 for all lines in the original file. All right, this may seem overwhelming, but it's not. So what I've done is I've broken it down to simple step-by-step directions here. So the first one, we're working with membership number. Email address doesn't even appear in the steps. So the fact that there's an email address in this makes no difference whatsoever. So we have create a new file, read a line from the file, and then extend the membership number. So we could have up to 2 variables here. So we have our procedure, make new file. We have the old file line or the original file line that's going to be declared as a string. And we're declaring new file line, adding the 2 digits in front of the old file line as a string as well. And then we'll write that new file line. You could do it with 1 variable, file line. I have 2 here so we can separate it and make it seem like, so it's easier to understand. All right, so once we've declared the variables, next we need to open the files. So we have 2 files, new email details.txt and the original file email details.txt. So when we're creating a new file, we don't need to append it. There's nothing there. There's no reason to append it. So we're going to open it so we can write to it. Reading a line, we're going to open it so we can read from it. And here's how it looks. Open file. What file do we want to open? Email details. Notice in pseudocode, you don't have the .txt. Email details was the original file. So I want to open it so I can read it. I don't need to write to it. I need to get the old membership numbers from there and then create a new file. I'm going to open the file, new email details. I'm going to write to it, because I need to take the old membership numbers, put 2 zeros in front of it, and then write. That's all I need to do. So already I've picked up a couple points of the possible 8 points. Now, we need to adjust all the existing membership numbers. But what do we have to do before we actually start adding those zeros though? Well, we want all membership numbers to be adjusted. But how many are there? We don't know how many there are. Well, count control loops are out. Those 4 next loops, because I have no idea how many times a loop needs to run. But what about while loops, those preconditional loops? Those are in. And here is how I do that. So remember, when you're reading the file, we've opened it already. So we're going to read file. We're going to put the file identifier, the name of the file, and then a variable that we're going to use to store it. When we're writing to the file, we write file. Now, this is after we have opened it. This is after we have opened it, which we did on the previous slide. We're writing the file. We write down the file name that we're writing to, and then the data. Now, the reason this says data, unlike the last one, which said variable, the reason that is there because if you're writing to a file, you can open quotes and put in your own custom lines, but you can also put in a variable, and that's why it says data. We have no idea what the previous membership number is or the current one that we're on is, so we're going to have to use a variable, and that's where the file lines come in. So here's what we have. We have while not EOF, which stands for end of file. This is straight out of the Pseudocode guide handbook. It's straight out of there. So while not EOF, which means while we're not at the end of file. What end of file are we looking at? We're looking at email details. As long as we're not to the end of that, this loop's going to keep running. Okay, we're not at the end. What do we want to do? Well, we want to read that file. Okay, what's the file identifier? We want to read the file email details. Okay, we're reading it. Where are we going to store it? We're going to store that into our variable old file line. Now what we need to do is add 2 zeros in front of it now that we have the membership number. So our new file line, we're going to store in that 0, 0, and we're going to concatenate it with the string old file line, which we have. So if the number was 1, 2, 3, 4, we've stored 1, 2, 3, 4 in old file line. The new file line is going to be 0, 0, concatenated with 1, 2, 3, 4, becoming 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we've updated the membership number, let's go ahead and write to it. Write file. Okay, what file do you want to write to? What's your file identifier, the name of the file? New email details. Put a comma. Okay, what data do you want to put inside new email details? New file line, which we just updated with the membership number. End while. That will take care of every single membership number, because as long as we're not at the end of the file, we're going to pull every single membership number, update it with 2 zeros, and then we're going to write to new email details. So that's taking care of the bulk of the question right there. The last thing that a lot of students forget to do is closing the files. Close file. What file do you want to close? Email details. Close file. What file? New email details. And we're done. We're done. 8 points right there. And here's how Cambridge would score you. This is a sample of their mark scheme. So this is everything that we just broke it down into sections. This is all of it right here. Here is how you get your points. 8 points. Variable declaration of string for old file line or equivalent. And that's why we said you could do it with 1. So you get a point just for the variable or variables. That's great. That's 1 point. 2 points if you open email details for read, and a separate point if you open new email details for write. Basic things there, and you can get 3 points, even if you do nothing else. But we're not going for 3. We're going for 8. 4, correct loop checking for end of file of email details, and we just broke down this loop. Reading a line from the email details in a loop. Correct concatenation of strings inside the loop. Writing a line to new email details in a loop. And then closing both files, and you're done. And you get all 8 points. I hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, please post a comment below, and we'll see you guys in the next one.